Everybody, Carrie Schaefer or Kerry Anne King here with you today, whichever one you know me as and want to call me, I'm good with that. I am super excited to have something a little bit different today and can't wait to introduce you to our guest. This book was brought to my attention by the lovely Annie McDonald, and I am so glad that it was. And I am hoping that you will listen and then you will share this show with friends, relatives, and possibly strangers, because I think everybody needs to know about what we're talking about today. So it's going to be interesting and informative and also just fun because, well, we get to do all the things on this show. So our guest today is Leslie Lehr, and I'm going to read a little bit of her bio for you here. Leslie Lehr is the prize-winning author of A Boob's Life, How the American Obsession Shaped Me and You. Called a must-read by Good Morning America, People Magazine, Glamour, and Entertainment Tonight, Salma Hayek's Venta Narosa Productions is developing it as a comedy series for HBO Max. Lehr's novels include What a Mother Knows, Wife Goes On, and 66 Slaps. She wrote the screenplay for the romantic thriller Heartless and 3 humorous parenting books, including Welcome to Club Mom. There is so much more. I could just go on and on about Leslie. She has had a fascinating life and career, and I'm just going to let her talk to you, though, because I know you'd rather hear from her than me. So I'm going to bring Leslie on right now. Hi, Leslie.
Hi, Carrie. Thanks so much for inviting me.
Thank you for being here. This is really super exciting. So A Boob's Life. I mean, first of all, with a title like that, where could we not be immediately intrigued?
Yep.
So tell us a little bit, Leslie, about what this book is about. I'm going to just say first, it's kind of like a part memoir, part social commentary, part research. It's something a little bit different than really anything I've encountered before.
Yeah, it is a little bit out of the box. It is a memoir by definition, but essentially I use my own life as an example to do cultural analysis of how we got to where we are with everyone being so obsessed with boobs. And people think that we're not. And if you look at all the evidence, we are, and it's affected men and women in ways that we have no idea. And I wasn't sure until I was so obsessed when I noticed my boobs were crooked one night that, oh my God, I could look at my whole life of what was going on with my boobs. And my husband accused me of being obsessed. And I was like, no, I'm not obsessed. And then I realized, oh, wow, I am, but I'm not the only one. So it was this, like, I had to figure out why I felt like this. And it was just a little freaky going back. So it was a lot of research and then a lot of funny stories that really had to do with my boobs. I mean, this morning, everybody listening who's a woman had to decide, we're going to push them up, push them down, hide them, wear a bra. I mean, every single day we take for granted, how important they are, that men look at them, all those things. So I had to write it the way it was written.
Right. Well, and I hadn't realized until I read it, and I went back and was reading some of your stories as, you were beginning to be aware of your breasts as a child and the impact they had on the world and power. And it really made me stop and think about a whole bunch of things, from me growing up that I hadn't considered. So
no, we don't talk about it. I mean, everybody has a boob story. We don't talk about it. And it's like, my generation, we're like the first ones really to have training bras. I mean, so that's how strange it is. Suddenly we have to train our bras, and, only a certain kind of boob is, the young plump one is the ideal. And yet it's a really small window of our life. And Anyway, so there's a lot. So I'm glad it made you think about it.
What's with that word training bra anyways? Like, I hadn't really thought about it. What are we trying to, your book made me laugh right there. Are we training them to grow? Or are we encouraging them? Or
I think it's men who, all the men who are making women's clothing at the time, it was an in-between from undershirts to bras with that stretchy white fabric. And I wanted it so bad. But, it was like, that's the stage of being a girl, of growing up to be a woman. And it was a huge market. And a lot of things really came down to money when you had to take the breasts. So,
it's funny because I think you were the opposite of me. You wanted the training bra. Me, I remember being really irritated when my mother started making me wear a shirt as a child because I liked running around, just in my shorts, like my brother, when I was 5. And then it's like, no, girls have to wear shirts. Well,
exactly. Well, there's a picture in my book. The first, when I was starting to think, what's with boobs? There's this picture of me when I was 3 with my sister who's 1 and my mom. We're all in red bikinis. And I remember how important it was to keep that red strip of fabric, teeny tiny thing over my nipples. And it was just like, I was 3. And that's how I realized, these are so taboo. Something's weird, because it's like, it was a rule, like brushing your teeth, cover your nipples. Right. And so that's, at that age, girls are indoctrinated to know that, something's bad about boobs.
Right. Well, and I read that, and then I was reading on Kindle. So I got to the pictures later, and then I laughed when I saw the picture, because it really is. It's just a teeny tiny little.
And my sister could not keep it on hers, and it just cracked me up. She was 1. But yeah, she couldn't.
Still trying.
Yeah.
So you have a copy of the book behind you. I see it there. Would you like to bring it a little closer and show it? Oh, you have one on your desk. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Such a great cover. So those of you who are just catching the podcast,
really shaped like that. So that's when I kind of like this color. This is that idealized,
Well, those are like the bullet.
Yes, which were supposedly to protect women from factory work. Like, how could someone sticking out protect you from the factories? They were developed during World War II, and then, it's just this whole idealized women image that we really can't.
Right. So those of you who are just listening on the podcast version, the cover of the book, which you really do need to see, it's kind of like a pinup girl kind of a picture with the real bullet breasts,
but without a head.
Well, no head. Yeah, the headless woman.
There's 150 nicknames for boobs, and that's the deal. It's like, we got objectified. People judge women by their boobs, and that's kind of the point of the cover. And it's this Americana vintage color, because it was kind of unique to America in the last 60 years, and it also, America influences the world with Hollywood and magazines and things like that. So
right.
Yeah, I'm happy with the cover.
150 nicknames for boobs. And how many nicknames do we have for
dicks?
Dicks, yeah, that's where I was going. I was like, dicks and balls. We got not much.
Not as many, and the jokes about them are usually mean and critical, and boobs are also. That's the thing about humor, is it's making fun of something. And I noticed that with the nicknames that. I have a book club guide that's a download from my website, leslielehr.com. And in it, I have like ideas of, fun questions, ideas of wardrobe, different kind of bra situations, but also snacks. And so many of the snack ideas are from nicknames, because a majority of nicknames for boobs are food related. Yeah. And then a lot of them are ammunition. So it's like, we got this life and death situation, the boobs, but notice I didn't call it a breast's life.
No, because that would be a completely different book. Breast is a very serious term.
Yes, it is. And boobs are serious, but it's a lot easier to think of them as a separate entity when you say boobs, and it's easier for me to talk about.
We make jokes about things we're frightened of often.
True.
I find that interesting, in that if we were I did not mean to go here, but it just occurred to me. I think. There is part of the culture, and you do get into some feminist stuff in this book, which I do also want to talk about, because I love your brand of feminism. I resonate with that. That there are men who fear the power, perhaps, of the breast, and that may be part of the reason why it is made fun of and given so many nicknames. That just occurred to me. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe.
I think it's a really good idea. I think women do have this power to create life, and breasts are nurturing and men look at a woman's chest, it's the first gender identification they see when someone enters the room. 200 milliseconds, zoom, they look at breasts. But the size doesn't matter in terms of actually making milk, and humans are the only mammals who actually have breasts their whole lives. So there's something about them liking them, but also it allows them to objectify women, but it's also an interesting thing. I've been talking to a lot of magazines in Europe and a lot of trans people, and breasts are the first thing you either take off or put on to be identified as a woman. And I think there's so much pressure in today's society that a lot of the young girls who are saying, I'm gender neutral, there's kind of this upswing. And I don't know how much is just because we're hearing about it, how much is real. But I think breasts are a big deal because they do say, okay, you have to fit in this box. You have these responsibilities. And during the pandemic, of course, our ability to nurture was just exponentially taken advantage of. And suddenly we have to try to work or not work and make less money to work less jobs and also educate the kids.
Right.
So breasts are they're of a lot of impact. It's personal and it's political. And yeah, I think they're powerful. And maybe that speaks to your point of, are men afraid of breasts or they just want to, that's the female gender. So
yeah, okay, so here's another question. You were a novelist before you wrote this book, and it sounds like maybe you're writing another novel now. Did I?
Yes, I consider myself a novelist for sure.
Right. Yeah. So probably back, a number of years ago, you never thought, I'm going to sit down and write a book about boobs.
No.
So
never.
What triggered this for you? What made you write this book?
I had written a New York Times Modern Love piece about thinking I was so sexy and suddenly getting breast cancer and being with this guy and almost breaking up with him and, my now husband. And it was about breast cancer. And that was all I was ever going to write about boobs. And it wasn't until after I was recovering from breast cancer, I got out of the shower one night and saw my boobs were crooked, and I had so many freaking surgeries, all the stuff I'd been through. And then I thought my whole life I could picture as, wanting boobs and then finally getting them, hiding to work, using them to nurse, being flat chested, getting implants, getting breast cancer. It's like, so I had to kind of answer the question of, do I want to get them fixed again? Am I really obsessed? And also after chemo, I got to admit, and I know you as a breast cancer survivor as well, that creative side of my brain didn't really come back fast. I work with writers all the time. I'm a novel consultant, and I was able to do analytical stuff. That side came back really fast. The creative side, not so much. And so I had started a couple things, but my consulting business was huge. It was going really well. But when I got out of the shower that night, I thought, okay, I have to figure this out. And the way for me to figure things out is to write, and this is my next book. And I do write personal essays that kind of grow into novels. Right. And so I realized, maybe that modern love thing, even though it was 5 years ago, really was, or a couple years ago, was kind of the precursor for writing this book, which has very little to do about breast cancer, although they are, important chapters in the book, like 2 of 19 chapters. But I felt it was the weirdest thing that I'm not the kind of person like you. I'm not prolific. I don't write a book every year and have series. I really can only write when there's something I got to write about. And this was just a book I had to write. And suddenly I didn't even realize it was a memoir because I really wanted to write essays about boobs at different stages. But I did all the research and putting the stories together, and it was clearly a memoir with cultural analysis. So but yeah, I don't have any plans to write any more memoirs. No, I like to deal with fiction because there's perfect answers in fiction. You make it work, right?
Yeah. That easy. Well, I always say I like fiction because I like to make shit up. I don't like to be bound. I don't like to be bound by facts, and I think there's a lot of truth in the stories that we can create and make up. So. But again, reading the way that you chose to do this book, and here's what I really loved. I was telling Leslie backstage before we came on here to talk to all of you, I don't usually read memoirs and I don't usually read nonfiction, but I am really loving this book because it is so beautifully, it's something new, really unique, I think, from anything I've read, where she's told these really beautiful, vulnerable, powerful stories from her childhood and all the way up, growing up, about the influence of breasts on us as women in our lives and our power. And then there's sections of statistics and facts and just
there's a fact page in between each chapter, because I feel like for me, living and wanting to be Miss America, and then, you know, buying a bra at Victoria's Secret, and, you know, all those things, and Playboy, like looking at my dad's Playboys, which they had at his college, trying out for Playboy when I was feeling not beautiful, even though I didn't want to show my breasts and didn't even get invited and was insulted. Right. You know, I mean, all these stories. But then it was like I had to put together what really happened, how Playboy evolved. And so that's a fact sheet. Victoria's Secret, these women are the mega millionaires of models. Why is there, you know, they have a diamond crown for bras. So putting together in between the chapters kind of that were thematic, a fact sheet that really shows the whole story was kind of the only way I could say. It wasn't my personal experience, so I didn't want to load too many facts. You know, I put as much, you know, research as I could in my personal stories, but I also am a screenwriter and I wanted them to be entertaining and fun, and just kind of double back on, here's what was really happening. Here's the Anjali, you know, you can bring them the bacon and fry it in a pan and still, you know, attract your man or something. Well, that was happening when I was in college and we sang to that, but wow, here's what was really going on with that commercial. But then if it's outside my experience, to get the real top story, then I added the fact sheet. So you can really step through and see just the facts, or get the story in chronology, which goes all the way up to December of 2020.
Right. So, well, all of it together just works really well, I feel. Yeah. And I think it just, it made me really think. And I think for any men who read it will make them think. As a matter of fact, my Viking and I have had conversations about what is this obsession with breasts? I mean, what is that? Yeah. And so there was just a lot of light shed in this on that. And I think I loved how you did get into feminism with this also, in that it's equality for all of us, and how breasts play into that, how they keep us from it or bring us to it. You know, it's such a complicated and really fascinating. Weird. It's weird. It's just weird.
It is. And the hard thing is that we can't fight biology. You know, it's biological imperative to want to attract men, and for men to like beauty, and for men to be attracted to breasts, because they are what help feed our children, right? And yet we've co-opted it to the extent where bigger breasts don't make more milk than other babies. You know, women have breasts their whole life and don't need them their whole life. And there's not a medical specialty for breasts, you know, even though there are for these other organs. And yet we want to be beautiful. So we have this double-edged coin of wanting to kind of be these beautiful people, and yet also want to be respected as exactly equal. And so there's really a matter of perspective. And I think that in our culture, if we're just aware of how much we judge not only other women, but ourselves by our bodies, and particularly our breasts, because that's the first thing someone can see, then hopefully we can all be treated more fairly and not be bound to these rigid roles. And then it does expand. Real feminism, as we discussed earlier, isn't just men and women, but all colors, all races, all, you know, all abilities, the disabled, everyone. Really, if we were just on the same playing field and stop judging people by how they look, how they feel, how they act, you know, and that was the kind of the advantage. As I mentioned, this was a tough book to sell. It wasn't just memoir. It wasn't just, you know, narrative nonfiction, and people take breasts for granted. So what, right? But it is also, the politics get a little scary. But by telling my funny stories of really how breasts, I mean, all my secrets, a lot of my secrets are in the book.
They are.
And when you get, but I was lucky that it originally sold, it originally ended in 2018 at my mom's birthday party, when all this stuff happened, when I finally decided, am I going to fix my boobs or not?
Right.
But then history kept happening. And so I was able to take the experience my daughters were having, my nieces, and so much had not changed when I thought things were changing in their boobs, and some are flat and some are bigger, some wanted boob jobs. And it was like, oh my God, it's still happening. And so I was able to write and continue that last chapter up through Dolly Parton using her boobs for good for the COVID shot. Right. And Salma Hayek also is a huge feminist and big producer, but we just see the boobs, and she uses that to do good because it attracts attention. So I was able to do, Time's Up, Me Too, and Black Lives Matter. And just in the last chapter to really funnel up to, this is how important boobs are, starting from when we're little girls and have to cover the nipple. So it was it was exciting, that the book evolved to that way. So
well, and so now you have this really exciting opportunity where it's going to be developed into an HBO series. So
as a comedy. So it's the flip side is I'm talking to universities. I talk to Rutgers. I'm hoping to talk to other people in gender studies and women's studies to use it maybe as a textbook and have me talk to, come and talk. And body positivity. I thought, we're all about body positivity now. But then I realized that's just my Instagram feed. There's still people airbrushing, and the competition for young girls is hideous. And, there's still all the fashion stuff that's really a lot of pressure, even though there's more opportunity. But the TV show is a comedy. So it's really great that breasts represent women in this way. And they're, how they're making it into a comedy. So my boobs are going to talk. And
talking boobs.
It's going to be really fun because the boobs are going to be like smart. But I think.
I like that. Yeah.
I'm going to be like dealing with, I have to do this to get to this and go to this. And then I think right now we're just working on the pilot and it takes a really long time. My boobs are going to be like one, really? I'm not good enough? Oh, are you swishing? I think we're working it out. Like I said, it's a really long process. The book is my story, so I'm very happy about the TV is going to be made so that it's a really fun and also interesting TV show. And and also I was able to do, the audiobook just came out, so I was able to say, to narrate that. But in terms of the TV show, I'm an executive producer, so I'll have some say.
Right.
And it was weird because then when I was doing the audiobook, I've never had an audiobook before, and reading it was bizarre. It's like I can't hear if people are laughing at the funny parts or I'm trying not to cry at the sad parts. And then I swore, and you'll get this as a writer, I will never write so many long sentences. All the names, I have lists of women in Playboy who are celebrities. I have lists of women you have no idea who died of breast cancer before I say it. It's like, and they were hard to pronounce all those names. So that was a challenge.
Well, and it's really, you did so much with this book. So, narrating your own audiobook, that's a whole different art form right there.
I had to try out.
Just to try it out for your own audiobook.
I didn't, because I was like, just get an actress who can really act it out. And they thought, no, we want it to be authentic, but let's hear how you talk. So I worked on my phone a little bit.
But I know it's really difficult. I'm ever grateful to my narrator. Most of my books have been narrated by Terry Clark Linden, and I absolutely adore her. She's absolutely fabulous. We've collaborated independently on my Kerry Schaefer books, and she's been hired by my publisher to do my Kerry Anne King books, so it's been fun. But I did one chapter I recorded myself reading for my readers of my last book, and it was hard. My voice was all tired, and I was
you don't realize it hurts your throat. And then I realized I have this ticking noise before sentences, and you have to wait and get into the breath before talking and save your breath to emphasize the right words. And I do notice I've listened to the first 2 chapters so far, and then I got a little nervous. But the first chapter, my voice is kind of gravelly. And then in the second chapter, I'm into it now. I'm smooth. It was the second day of recording, and I knew to have tea with honey and suck on candies and not have real food at lunch, because then my stomach's growling and you hear my stomach growl. It was crazy. And it was my first outing for COVID. It was the first time I actually saw real people going into this little studio.
Oh, wow.
And then hearing people, the producers and directors in your head, and my director was like, oh my God, I laughed so much. And I think, I wish I could have heard you, because I didn't know. It was funny.
It would have helped me.
Yeah, the engineers can you say that word again, and we'll just drop it in. And it's because I have the California slur or something. So I don't know. But you can listen. And anyone out there, please listen. Let me know if it's safe for me to hear the rest of it. I'm nervous.
Well, congratulations on getting that out there too. I did want to talk about, you told all your secrets pretty much in the book already. You were very, very forthcoming, but you did tell me that there might be a little bit you could tell us about almost breaking up with your husband, who I just have to say right now, he's so lovely. The way he's portrayed in the book and his pictures, he just seems.
He's a nice guy. Yeah. Our 10th anniversary was during COVID. And so we're just now thinking we would cancel all the plans, and well, we're going to do something. But honestly, I had met him years ago. A friend who knew I was writing in between production stuff had said I had to take his class, and I'm not a date your teacher kind of girl. So I was engaged to my first husband, who I was married to for 20 years. But when I got divorced, it was kind of a violent divorce. And by the end of the book, you'll see what happened. My ex committed suicide a couple years ago. He was a troubled guy, being a vet. And, but I was divorced and I was completely flat from nursing my kids. I had gone from being not very big to really big, and then having these big empty sacks like Eeyore hanging down with like sad, like, it was horrible. My mother, but I was like thinking that's what makes me a mother. That shows that I use my chest for my babies. That makes me a good mom, being totally flat chested. Even though I would wear like camisoles to hide my nipples, I never took off my top, even with my husband, for years. And then when I got divorced, I didn't really know if I was gonna be able to keep writing. I got my master's, I was teaching, I was kind of, doing lots of different jobs in the writers program, consulting. Anyway, my mom thought I was deformed. She saw me naked. She had not nursed,
What a thing for a mother to say. Oh my God, mothers.
Yeah, we were in a dressing room, and she had bought me a dress for my birthday, and I needed a bra, and I didn't fit in any nice bras at all. And she just was like, she thought I was going to be lonely. She has beautiful breasts. My mom has a great figure. She never nursed, right? She didn't know what it looked like. So she thought I'd be lonely without breasts because men like breasts. And I was like, I am, so she thought I should, if I wanted to get implants, she would give them to me as a present. And I was like, I am not a bimbo. No, I will not do that. And then about a year later, there was a cancellation in this doctor's office, and I went for a consult, and I thought, okay, great. Now I know I don't have to do it. I'm an intellectual, right? And they're flat chested. See, I'm judging myself, my personality, right, other women by their bodies. If someone has big boobs, they shouldn't be wearing a halter top, and they're tacky and slutty, and I'm not that way, right? And so that's horrible. And part of the theme of my book is like, let's not judge each other by our bodies. Let's do what we want to do. Anyway, and so at a moment of weakness, they had a cancellation, and I went in and did it, and I begged this doctor, make them small. I just want to have to fill up these bags. And he was like, to fill up those empty bags, you can't pick a size. It's like, I got it. Otherwise, you're going to have like boobs and hanging skin. And so I got the boob job, and of course, they're inflated at first. I called him every day to complain. And he said I was the only person who ever did that. And I was like, no. And then finally they kind of settled down, and I went and I brought new bras, and they were beautiful. And I actually did feel more confident. I mean, women after breast cancer, they bring their breasts back, and it's painful. And why would you, right? It's part of what makes the women beautiful. And it was kind of before people were doing tattoos or being more relaxed about not replacing. But I had this, anyway, then I just felt like I felt more confident in my work. It really did make a difference. I didn't show them, but it was kind of just nice to have again. And then I started dating my husband, and my daughters dressed me up in this lacy top that was like lower than I was comfortable with. The whole night I'm like, but he really was so complimentary about my looks. And I had gotten out this horrible divorce where my husband was out of town most of the time. When he was in town, he was not nice and very critical. And this guy John was like so sweet to me and so nice all the time. And then it was like months. I like made him wait for months and get all these health tests before we, slept together. And then we had this weekend plan in Santa Barbara, and I could not do it because he did not know my breasts were fake. And I was just like, okay, I really like this guy, and and there's other people I could date. And I don't ever want to get married again. So I'm just going to break up with him. And it was like, I kept trying to get a hold of him, and he was out of town because he teaches writing and he was traveling the world. And I didn't talk to him until that morning. And then it was like, I really wanted the vacation. I hadn't been away from my kids forever. I had a babysitter, and my kids were teenagers. They were happy for me to leave, and it was just the most scary night. But yeah, you have to read it. You
have to read it now. Now we're not going to tell you anymore. You have to read to find out what happened.
It was a scary situation because
It is amazing how much our identity is tied up with it. I have my own secret now because I was telling Leslie before we came on. I don't talk about this very much, but I'm also a breast cancer survivor, and I went with the mastectomy, so I had a double, and it was the same as Leslie's story. My first novel was coming out while I was doing all of this, and so I did go with reconstruction. It was horribly painful, and while I was in the middle of it, I was like, why did I do this, right? But it was too late then.
It's so common. I think it's like we don't talk about that very much either. I mean, now with social media, people are, but I mean, 1 in 8 women. Everybody, and I didn't know anyone who had it, and now suddenly it's like, oh my God. And you notice even like old movies, famous movies, when a girl dies or a woman dies, they don't say what it is. It's the women's disease, but it's breast cancer because it's a freaking plague. 300,000 women are going to get it this year. And ironically, 300,000 women will also get breast implants.
Interesting correlation. So this is our point where we both tell you, go get your mammogram.
Yes.
And if you are uneasy or uncomfortable and your doctor doesn't seem to be telling you what you think you want to know, get a second opinion. That's the other thing I'm going to tell you.
Yes. And take care of yourself. For me, what I really learned the most from it is that I did not have the gene or anything. I mean, and I thought I was as healthy as I could be.
Right.
But I think that there was discovered a chemical ATF gene. I think that's a trigger. It's a stress-related trigger for breast cancer. And women, with all our responsibilities, brings us back to the caretaking feminism thing. We have got to take care of ourselves. It's survival. Because if we go down, everybody goes down, So it's really, self-care is a big deal.
And that right there is a really nice segue to something that I need to remember to tell you, that both Leslie and I are involved in a special day at World of the Right Review on June the 25th. It's a whole women's empowerment day. And Leslie's going to be talking to Annie about some women's empowerment stuff. I'm going to be doing a little class on, I think, what did we call it? I'm trying to think. You're already awesome. You just don't know it yet. And so kind of talking through a little bit of getting past negative self-talk, which a lot of us do a lot of. Yeah. And there'll just be all kinds of awesome things. So check into the World of the Right Review. If you haven't done that already, join that group and be there on June 25th. Leslie, wow, time has gone really fast. I do want to talk to you a little bit about what do you have going on now? You're writing another book, I believe. Is that?
I am. I have to tell you, promotion is so fun, but it's so overwhelming, and it's this completely different head from writing.
Yeah,
so, it's crazy, and yet I'm so excited about this book, and I feel like there's important parts and fun parts, and I want to keep doing as many interviews as I can and get out there and do talking, and yet and also I have clients for my day job, because you never know how many books are going to sell. And I love working with writers. For me, that's the easiest part. In fact, my husband is working on a project now, and I'm editing his chapters, and so we're all. That analytics side is very gratifying, and yet gotta be writing. Yeah. And I was working on another novel, a novel I kind of wanted to write all my life, and I had to wait for some people to die. But I'm not going to write the true story, because fiction allows me to do more interesting things with it. It's a period piece based in the late 60s, and it's very complicated story, and I was so immersed with it, and I'm now just trying to get back. Today I worked on 2 pages of it. I'm in the middle of the second draft, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully having more time to write. And it's a weird transition to get from the promotion back to writing, but that I really do write because I have to. And for any wannabe writers out there, don't do it unless you got to, because it's hard, but incredibly satisfying.
Great. It's hard. It's awesome. Kind of like having boobs, really.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, so I am just starting to get back to that. And it's hard to get into that whole immersion thing, because I have 4 different characters with different points of view and period piece. So I'm hoping to kind of roll into that more as the summer goes. And it's fun because, like you say, I don't have to be careful about what really happened and the order and picking and doing research and backing it up. I get to make it up. I mean, it is based on real stuff, but it's fun. Really.
Yeah, well, that's great. I'm really glad. And then I want to make sure that everybody knows where to find you. So you do have a website, and I think it's just leslielehr.com. Is that
Correct.
right?
LEHR, right. And I also am on Instagram at Leslie Lehr 1 and Facebook author Leslie Lehr, and also Twitter. You can find me. If you Google a Boob's Life, you will find me. And I do have a newsletter, not as prolific as yours. And I just did a blog on the new newsletter. If you sign up, you'll still get it, about why audiobooks are so incredibly fun for summer. Right. And it just comes out once a month, which kind of updates you on the TV show and all that kind of stuff. And
awesome. Yeah.
I'll put this up there too on my website.
Perfect. So, that's great. And then those of you who are listening to this on the podcast version, Leslie's name is spelled Leslie, last name Lehr, Lehr. So if you're looking for her, the last name is Lehr, and she's easy to find.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, and that's fantastic. The book is great. I look forward to reading novels now because, that's fun too. And
me too.
I really appreciate. Pardon? Sorry.
Novels fill me up. I like I like to get back to novels, and they inspire me to write more and write better too.
Right. I'm with you. Also doing the conflict between the writing and the promo. They're two very different parts of the brain. So
you're doing it all the time. You are constantly writing and promotion and these generous shows with authors that you do. So thank you so much.
I love these shows because I get to meet people like you. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed this. The book really made me think too. So I want to thank you for that. That was fabulous. Thank you for being here today. Those of you who are with us now watching, thank you. And anybody listening later on the podcast, again, thanks for being part of our worlds. I'll be back again next week, I believe, with another guest. So check in and see what we've got going for you then.
And love your boobs.
That's my final
word.
Take care of them.
Yes, it's a boob's life for all of us. Thank you so much,
Leslie. Bye.
Thanks, Kerry.